Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Always Out of Market NFL podcast. It's your boy, Ryan C. Reed. The C stands for courage and courageousness and kleptomania, even though that starts with a K. Today, we're going to talk about some NFL, like usual. I know it's a big surprise. We're throwing that in there. Maybe one day we'll have an NBA episode. Who knows? But today, it's NFL. Just right post schedule releases. We all had some laughs, some giggles about some of the schedule releases. Not really any of our teams anything special for the schedule release, which is unfortunate. Seahawks had like a comic book cover, which is cool, but not that amazing. But yeah, we're going to talk about our schedules this year, and we're going to talk about our bowl predictions from last year. If you remember, before the beginning of last season, we made some 5 bowl predictions for 2023, and as you can tell by our bowl predictions, we're not very good football analysts at all, and don't know what's going to happen, except for when it's blatantly obvious. So, I guess there's no news or anything, right? So just kick it away, whoever.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the first slide of bowl predictions, Ryan.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
So,
fuck.
Jason's bowl prediction was Trevor Lawrence throws for 30-plus touchdowns. How many did he get? Do y'all know?
Let's see. I'm looking it up. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think he got less than 20.
He did not have a good year.
This is career 2023, 21 touchdowns.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's not that bad. I do think we got to admit that a lot of us were overestimating how big Calvin Ridley would make a difference for Trevor Lawrence. But it was just, I don't know, something happened with the Jaguars this year in the back half. Remember, they had a win streak for a while, and they fucking blew it at the end. So
they started being poo-poo boys.
All right, so we're going to call this a bad or...
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's our ranking? So we have, what's it, like, I thought we should have a scale. So that's a bad. It didn't.
Let's say analyst,
okay,
good,
bad,
and awful.
Shit.
I don't know. Shit. Yeah, we'll just do 1 to 4 like that. Yeah. I think this is a bad. This isn't an awful.
This is a bad. I say this is a bad. Yeah, he was only 9 touchdowns away technically. Like if this was Aaron Rodgers for 30+ touchdowns, that would be a shit take.
Yeah. All right. Jason, you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Ryan, go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna keep track somehow of who had the most bad and the 3 of us.
If you can, I mean, obviously we're kind of winging it here, so.
Boom! I got a little pencil and a little journal right here. Excuse me, audience. I'm just figuring out some fun mid podcast episode stats.
This is very on brand for Ryan, Mr. Math guy over here.
All right, so we got shit, bad, good, and analyst.
Analyst is 1, yeah.
We have something in the middle, I feel like.
I think 1 to 4 is fine. 1 to 4 is fine. We're just gonna.
Because all these takes, they either achieved them or did not achieve them. So I think they're also a middle would be like it just was it neither way.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I think the 4 is right now. Yeah.
All right, we'll just stick with that. So so we're agreeing on bad. Let's just make sure we agree on everything and just have one ranking for each thing, because otherwise it'll get even more confusing. Anyway, Obviously we are very prepared this episode. We're just here hanging out.
Also 9:30 at night.
Yeah,
so
late recording for us. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ryan said the Cardinals don't get the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft.
I was right, wasn't I?
I'm gonna say this is a good.
Yeah,
it's not analyst.
Oh, not at all. It
Yeah.
was a very easy bowl prediction.
Yeah. Now, of course, I really thought, and we'll get into that in a minute on one of the other slides for me, but I really thought the Cardinals were going to be ass this year. And yes, they only got 4 wins, but for a 4-win team, they actually looked relatively competent most of the year. So, yeah, I think, I'll give it a good, and I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yep.
They ended up finishing with the 4th overall pick, so not the worst team by far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the next one, Matthew. The Texans go under 0.5 despite drafting C.J. Stroud.
I'm already marking it down here. Go ahead. That's a shit take. That is a.
What did they end up finishing?
Like 11-6.
Yeah. So I think we can agree this is an awful. Let's go ahead and call it awful. Because to be fair, no one could have seen how good C.J. Stroud was going to be. Obviously, it was incredible to see just how quickly that whole team turned around in just 1 year. All it took was getting a really good quarterback. So I'm obviously super happy about that.
Oh yeah, dude. They went 10-7.
10-7. So.
So then it's a shit take.
Yeah.
Because CJ Stroud elevated them into, getting to the fucking
They're
playoffs.
And that's another thing I want to remind y'all about too, is the Texans actually could have potentially not been in the playoffs. All it took was the Jaguars choking so bad at the end. Because the Jaguars had it locked down. It was going to be the Jags if they won in Week 18, but the Titans beat them, giving the Texans the opportunity to go in. But overall, 10-7 after being the 2nd overall pick the year before, big change. All right, next up, this is I'll let y'all make the decision on this one. It's either bad or awful. Josh Allen and the Bills missed the playoffs, and I said because of the Madden curse, because they put Josh Allen on the Madden cover. What do y'all think?
I'm just gonna go with bad because they almost did miss the playoffs. So I'm gonna say it's bad.
Yeah, I'm fine with bad.
Okay.
Because they also didn't even make it to the AFC Championship. So.
Well, and that's the thing is, didn't they? I mean, in the end, didn't they end up winning the division? It came down to the final game between them and the Dolphins, I think. If they had not won, they would have gotten like the 6 seeds. They were still going to be in the playoffs, but they would have been in a much worse situation, I guess. But yeah, I'll take the bad. I'll take the bad. Yep. All right, next up. Gavin said Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs don't win the AFC Championship. Just bad, I think.
I think that one's a bad because there's one that I could claim later on that's even worse, and so I think that's a bad as well.
Yeah, I think honestly, this prediction looked really good early on in the season. It was like, wow, these the Chiefs are not going to be good this year, and then for whatever reason, I mean, they still did well enough to win their division, and then they ended up, just playing out of their minds in the playoffs where they thrive, I guess. All right. Anything else on that one?
Nah.
All right. Tyler, the Broncos make a wild card spot in the playoffs.
I'm going to just say bad for that one because it went 8-9, so they were 2 games away from the wild card spot.
Yeah, I'm also going to say bad on this one.
Agree on the bad.
There's a worse one on here about the Broncos.
Yep. So out of the first slide, only a prediction that was actually right was mine, with a very, very generic, easy to achieve.
Ryan, you had some very safe, bold predictions in this. I will say
this one. My other ones aren't.
There's a couple safe ones. I mean, we all had a couple safe ones, I think. But
yeah.
I
honestly don't think. I mean, maybe the Pete Carroll or the Bobby Wagner were kind of safe, but no.
I felt like that one. Yeah. The
other 3 of mine were not safe. I would say.
I can't wait to get to some of mine that are just so shit that I want to like cry looking at that I predicted that. All right, let's move on. Next slide, Ryan. Oh shit, I went too far. I'm sorry. This is the right one, isn't it? Okay, yep. All right. Jason, starting off with you. The Bills win 12-plus games and exit the playoffs in the first round. How many games did they win? We want to look that up real quick.
Yeah. The Bills won 11 games.
Okay, so
and they made it. They left in the second round, right? They left in the divisional round. They lost in the divisional round.
Yeah, they beat the Steelers, I think.
I'm gonna say just a bad take because it was wrong, but not like he was like 1 win away and 1 round away. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say just a bad take.
Agree on bad. Jason, agree?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. It
So
honestly
can't be-
probably that was probably a good prediction, just given what the Bills have been and
Yep.
with the changes they made. I'm willing to make this kind of bold prediction this year. Honestly,
Mhm.
I would be tempted to do that. All right, moving on. Ryan, the Chiefs lose their first playoff game they play.
That can be a shit take. I'm fine
I
with
think
that,
that's
man.
a shit.
Yeah.
I think that's a shit. Fucking Chiefs, for whatever reason, just thrive in the playoffs. They can, they only got the 3 seed, and they still just played out of their minds to get to the
The Dolphins fuck it up.
yeah.
It's just the experience in the playoffs, and then the Dolphins had to go play when it was negative 40 degrees.
By the way,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Steven. No, you're going to talk about this one.
The Dolphins, in order for them to win a Super Bowl, they have to get the 1 seed and hold it, I believe. Just from what I've seen with the way their team is, they need to play always at home, and then wherever the Super Bowl is going to be indoors probably. That's what they need. If they don't, it's never going to happen for them.
Yep.
All right, what were you going to say, Ryan?
I was going to say, looking ahead, we might need to make that middle category of like some right, some wrong, because there are some like 2-parter bowl predictions, like literally the next one, that technically like one part of it's true, one part of it's false. I feel like there should be
So yeah, I tried to tell y'all earlier.
No, you're right. Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect. So I think there should be a middle category. It's like 0 points basically. What should we call that middle category?
Huh?
What do you say, Jason?
Newt.
Newt. All right, Newt it is.
For neutral.
Oh,
Yep.
Gotcha. So are you?
I'm also assigning a point system to this shit, so that to see who like has the most horrendous takes and the best takes and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so you're able to adjust on the fly for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, there we go.
A little spoiler. There's the stats right there. Stream.
Gotcha. Oh man, spoilers. If you haven't been paying attention, right? Okay. Well then, yeah. Let's talk about this one. Matthew, his prediction was Aaron Rodgers has another down year and calls it quits. Half of that is right.
I think it's a Newt because
A Newt.
down year for sure. He didn't call it quits though.
Yeah.
So
no one could have seen that coming.
No.
I mean, really, the Jets and Giants need to consider, of all teams, they need to go away from turf because there have been so many injuries in MetLife. It is awful.
Mhm.
Get grass there.
I saw a tweet a couple days ago, and I was like, in 100 and however many days until kickoff, Aaron Rodgers' right Achilles has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever.
Oh God, if that happened, because the same guy that sacked him on the Bills in that first game is now on the 49ers or whatever team they're playing the first week. I remember hearing about that. He can be sacked by the same guy, even though it's a different team, in the same way. That would be the Jets are cursed if that happens. All right, let's move on. I'm willing to call this a shit if y'all are. Jonathan Gannon will be fired after this season. Do y'all think that's shit or bad or what?
I'm gonna say shit because it was just his first year.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be like a Nathaniel Hackett type situation. When you saw those interviews and saw him interacting with other players, the cringiest shit I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was just not going to work, and they were going to get him out of there. But yeah, overall, it was a better team than their record shows, I think. So I'm gonna give him credit there.
Yeah, I think honestly, you could tell from a year ago, we thought the Cardinals were going to be the most dog shit team in the NFL, and they weren't. So that's I'm willing to say it's a shit take too, just because Cardinals weren't as bad as everybody thought they were going to be. Yeah, and he wasn't even really talked to him being fired.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm cool with it. Mark it down as a shit take.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a good one. This is a great. I don't know if I want to. Can we call this analyst?
I think based off if we're going stats, I don't remember exactly what the Lions what everybody thought the Lions were going to do last year. I know they got the playoffs for the first time ever last year or whatever. But
I want to call it analyst just because the Lions literally have never won the NFC North before.
yep, and they won
So-
it by 3. I guess 12-5. Packers got 9-8. Like they were handily in the lead
Yeah.
of the NFC North.
So, yeah.
I think it's analyst.
Yeah, let's call it analyst. Let's give one out for something.
Yeah.
Gavin
found
said
that,
the
Jason?
Lions will win the NFC North.
Yep.
Jason?
Jason, you cool with that?
I guess, but I was gonna call it good because I felt like we all thought the Lions were gonna win the NFC North anyway.
Yeah.
I don't remember what our thought process was last year.
I thought so too, but I didn't think that they would run away with it quite as much as they did, I guess. But
like I said, I think if it had been a closer race for the NFC North title, that's when I would have done a good. But just because they're blew away, I feel like it's an analyst. I think it's the 2-1 thing right now anyway. So we'll go with analyst.
all right, moving on. Tyler, the Seahawks will win the NFC West.
I think that's a shit take because we got third
Yeah,
and
I was gonna
missed the playoffs.
because the 49ers had just that much better of a record too towards the end.
Same with the Rams. I mean, the Rams and the 49ers owned us this year. I think that is a shit take, unfortunately.
Sorry, Tyler. Shit it is.
Too bad he's not here to defend himself, which this isn't his fault. He's working right now. But
Yeah. Good thing about us having 3 of us here. It's a 2-1 vote on everything. Well, I guess if we all agree 1-1-1 between Newt, I guess, and good and bad. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Jason said the Patriots will have a bottom 5 offense this season.
All right. So we're going by just yards?
I was going by yards per game.
Yards per game. All right. Patriots had the 3rd worst offense this year, yards per game.
I'm going to call analyst.
Mm-hmm.
I think that deserves an analyst.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that was pretty bold. I mean, obviously, we thought the Patriots were going to be bad, but to be that bad.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that the first year Mac Jones was a Patriot, he was a backup for the Pro Bowl and stuff. He did good that first year, and just every year, oh my, it was only 2 more years after that, but it just the downfall was just incredible for Mac Jones. And Bailey Zappi wasn't much better, if better at all. So, yeah, good one, Jason. Really good one.
Just a reminder, Bailey Zappi beat the Broncos that year.
Oh, yeah. All right.
This next one, Jaguars making a Super Bowl run. That is a shit take because they didn't make the playoffs.
The Jaguars will make a Super Bowl run. Ryan said that. Yeah, again, I think this goes back to the whole Calvin Ridley Jaguars look like they have a chance now, and it just didn't work. So, yeah, I agree with shit.
I will say it's not the worst to take on this slide.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out which one, and I realized very quickly which one it was.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Matthew said the Falcons will find their QB and win the NFC South.
He thought fucking Desmond Ridder was going to be the QB. Is that really what he thought last year?
I don't know if he actually thought it was truly Desmond Ridder. If I remember correctly, he thought that Heineke would win the job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Heineke should have won the job.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur Smith is a stubborn piece of shit and would not just finally bench Desmond Ridder. He just kept making poor Falcons fans have to watch that idiot out there on the field.
Yeah.
So
I do think, though, Desmond Ridder, and this is my personal opinion, but out of the starting QBs at the end of the season, Desmond Ridder was the worst, and he proved that this entire year.
Yeah.
Even though he was, some of them got injured and shit and didn't do shit, they're still better quarterbacks than he was when they played. So I think that is an absolute shit take. If there was a level below shit, I would put that where that take was.
All right. Here's
also,
go ahead.
Consider the fact that they picked up 2 new quarterbacks in the offseason to flush out their quarterback room.
Well, yeah, they even traded Desmond Ridder away. I think he's So yeah.
So are we all cool with shit take or
shit?
Yep.
Definitely shit. All right, moving on. Bijan Robinson, this is my prediction. Bijan Robinson finishes top 5 in rushing yards. This one bothers me. I'll let y'all decide, but this one bothers me because I truly think this should have happened. I do think that. The biggest problem is when Bijan Robinson was actually put out there for most of the games, he was awesome. And when they used him, for whatever reason, Arthur Smith, he wanted to use his backup tight end and his backup running back more than his starters for whatever reason. So Algier got a lot more of the bigger plays. And then, Bijan Robinson also was bigger in the receiving game, if I'm not mistaken, this year. So that obviously wouldn't come into it. What did he end up finishing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th.
Yeah.
He didn't even break 1,000.
No. I truly believe that he'll have a good year this year. I would probably take the risk and do this bold prediction again next year, but I'm obviously not going to because I don't want to switch things up. But
I would love this. It does suck because coaching and also just injury and stuff. But I have to say, I think this is a shit take because it was out 10. He was 15th over top 5.
I was gonna just say bad.
I was if I'm the deciding vote, which I guess I would be, because that's what I was about to say. Let's call it a bad, because I do think he was on track. The first couple weeks he was on track for that, like he was up there, and then he had that weird game where he had the fucking fever or whatever, and we didn't find out till the game started. Fucked over everybody in fantasy. Arthur Smith hates fantasy football, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, we'll agree on bad. So let's move on to the next one. This one's pretty good, too. Gavin said Baker Mayfield leads the Bucs to an NFC South championship.
Yeah, I think it's just a good because the Bucs literally tied for record-wise in the NFC South. They just had the head-to-head, I think, against the Saints. They both were 9-8. So it was right, but I think it's a good.
I'll agree on that. The difference between this one and the NFC North with the Lions was really just the fact of, I agree. Like, it wasn't a clear victory for the Bucs. It came down to the end. So I'm agree on a good there.
Same. I'm gonna say.
All right.
Alrighty.
Gavin's had a couple good ones, but then again, I remember saying in the bold prediction thing last year that I didn't think they were really that bold anyway, which I still kind of feel that way. But all right, let's move on. Tyler said the Vikings will finish 3rd in the NFC North.
He was right.
I'll give it a
finish 3rd.
You're going to give it an analyst?
I'll give it an analyst too because it's predicting exactly where a team will land, not just
I'm going to give him an analyst for this because I believe he even said he thought the Packers would get the 2nd spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I basically, Tyler basically predicted the exact standings of the NFC North. So, good job, Tyler, analyst. All right. Moving on. Oh, God. Fuck me. I hate this fucking stupid slide. All right. We'll get to it in a minute. Starting off. Wow, this is not a good start off point either. Jason said that the Broncos will win 12 plus games this season. How many games did y'all win?
8. I want to defend myself for 1 second. Do y'all not remember when we went on a 5-game winning streak and
I do.
thought we were about 12 games because of that?
I do. I remember you have another prediction we got to that held for a little bit with Russell Wilson. So that was also initially good, and it kind of fell off too.
Yeah.
What did y'all finish overall, just in the end?
8 and 9.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, just based on my to keep my same ratings earlier, that's a shit take for me because it's 4 games plus off, and it was a losing record versus 12 being a really good season.
Man, this is tough. This feels like an in between for me. This feels like a right at shit and bad. But since I can't fully get in on bad, I'm going to agree and just say shit. Sorry, Jason.
That's fine.
Okay,
I've
it
got
was
this take, so I'm fine.
that's Jason's first shit take.
Okay. All right. Moving on. I don't know what to call this one. Pete Carroll or Bobby Wagner retire after this season, said Ryan.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out that it's just good because Pete Carroll didn't retire, but we did not expect him to get fired.
No.
Well, he wasn't even fired. I'm honestly fine with doing it neutral because like Pete Carroll didn't even really retire. And that did Bobby Wagner. Like neither of them retired technically.
You know, I'm actually, I think I'm agree. Let's just call it neutral because this is really not right or wrong. But yeah, the whole thing with none of us could have saw Pete Carroll getting fired. That was nuts. That was even surprising to me by the end of the season. So, and the Bobby Wagner one, I guess that one's kind of bad. But yeah, because of that, the Bobby Wagner part, I'm gonna just say let's put it in neutral. I would be tempted to put it into good without the Bobby Wagner part. All right. Next up, Matthew said the Packers will have a top 5 defense.
So we're doing yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
Packers had the 17th best defense in the NFL.
I'm gonna say it's shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we have to. Wow, it was that bad. It was the rushing that was killing him, though, wasn't it?
Let me see.
Their rushing defense was awful, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. They looks like they might have allowed the most. Oh, never mind. The Cardinals and the Seahawks and the Broncos and the Giants had worse rushing defenses.
That's still pretty low.
138 rushing yards per game. That's pretty fucking good, dude. But yes, the Packers. It was
the rushing defense that killed them. Okay.
Yep.
So right.
That's definitely. I think it's a shit take. Yep.
Just go ahead and put this next one down as just shit, please. All right. Next up, Steven.
Which one was that? Chigakonkwo would be a top 5 tight end in yard. I think I need to figure out exactly where Chigakonkwo actually ended up with receiving yards. Let's see.
He's gonna be like the top 50.
Yeah, it's top. Well, it with just tight ends, but yeah, it's probably not in the. It's probably in the 30s or 40s, if I had to guess.
Okay, let's see. Tight ends. Receiving yards.
I would like to remind y'all from when we did this recording the first time, obviously when we did the bold predictions, I said that I realistically thought like top 10, but then I was like, I want to try to be extra bold, and that has made this look so much worse. So it is what it is. I thought Chigakonkwo was going to have a big year. I thought with the staff that we had, there was going to be a lot more. Our offensive coordinator was a big tight end guy. Thought we were going to get a lot more Chigakonkwo. He had a few good touchdowns and he had some good plays, but his production was not good enough for how many good tight ends there are in the NFL.
It's not awful. I mean, it's shit. You're taking shit.
I mean, yeah, we're all in agreement of that. I don't give a damn what place he's in.
No,
it's shit regardless.
I'm gonna say because the podcast listeners need to know.
Oh, okay.
He was 18th in tight ends.
That's actually way better
than I thought.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
It's still shit, though. Still shit. We'll move on. All right. But I still love Chigakonkwo, and he still has one of the best numbers. I love 85 as a number. That's probably slightly biased because I like George Kittle so much. But moving on. This one, I don't know about this one, too. Gavin said Jalen Phillips records 10-plus sacks this season. He was on track for it, but then he got hurt and was out for the season.
Then I think it's a bad. If he didn't make it, but he was on track, that's a bad to me. He got 6.5 sacks.
6.5. How many games did he play? Can you see that real quick?
8.
My
vote's to Newt on that.
Same. I think I'm going Newt because he would have obliterated 10 if he played the whole season.
Yeah, because I remember when we recorded this, and then when we first had the first few games go through, and I saw what Jalen Phillips was doing, and I'm like, Gavin killed it with this prediction, and then he got hurt, and it just got fucked. So yeah, let's call it Newt. All right.
I will say, I'm following through just the trend of it. His first, oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, he did start ramping up. I'm looking at it backwards. Okay, yeah, he started ramping up. That's fine with Newt.
Well, that's why we got 3 people too. We got the vote system too.
Personally, I mean, it's literally Newt because y'all voted for it. I
Yeah.
think it's a bad because it just was an incorrect prediction. I don't care if
Right.
it was an injury or not.
Right.
And just saying, earlier on we did.
I mean, there's inconsistency to this. This is just all biased bullshit voting anyway. So.
Well, I'm just saying, like earlier on, Bijan Robinson, like you said, was on track to get it, but he got injured, and so we gave you a bad day because of it.
That was not really his injury. It was more like his production and just like Arthur Smith not using him. That was my thing. But I don't know. That still feels different than just getting fully like knocked out for the whole season. So anyway, let's move on. This one, which is correct, if I'm pretty sure DeAndre Hopkins got it. Tyler predicted the Titans will have a 1,000-yard receiver. I believe DeAndre Hopkins got maybe like right at 1,000 or 1,100.
DeAndre Hopkins got 1,057 receiving yards.
Yeah, just barely made it.
I'll say it's a good.
I don't think you can give him analyst for a 1,000-yard. Let's call it good. I agree on that.
It's not going to change it, but I was going to say Newt because DeAndre Hopkins, it felt like he was the clear-cut wide receiver 1, and he would get most of the targets. So it wouldn't have been that hard to hit 1,000. And he also barely got over 1,000.
Yeah, I want to call it good just because I really thought that we weren't going to have anybody. I thought our wide receiver room was going to be just all over the place. So
I'm just about the stats, and he achieved that prediction correctly, so that's good for me.
All right. Let's move on to the next slide. All right. Starting off with Jason over here. Russell Wilson will have a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He was on track to start out with. I don't know where he ended up in the end.
It wasn't. I remember.
It certainly wasn't 5-to-1.
26 tutties, 8 interceptions.
So it's over 3-to-1. It's like a 2-to-1.
I'm gonna just call it bad, I guess. It was just a little too high. This would be almost a Newt for me. It's just I don't know. With it being 5-to-1.
I think it's bad. I said he didn't get it correct, so I'm gonna say bad.
All right. Moving on. Ryan, the Seahawks will have a top 5 scoring offense.
I think that was an analyst level pick.
Were they top 5? I'm about to say.
See. Points per game. Because I wouldn't change it. You know, we were 17th.
I think this has to be this. I think that's a shit. I think that's a shit.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I agree.
And that's crazy with how stacked y'all's wide receiver room is to be that low. That's crazy. What happened? Was it just Geno going back to old Geno? Was that what it was?
Not like Foley. He wasn't even that bad. I don't know what. We just couldn't get it. Like there was something just off in the water or something at the Seahawks. We had the talent. We just didn't have the production.
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened.
All right. Next up, Matthew. This is the one I made fun of and ended up being almost exactly right. Matthew, Jordan Love will be top 8 in passing yards. I think I already know he placed 7th, if I'm correct on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we looked at it last week or before.
This is
1,
straight up
2, 3,
analyst.
4, 5, 7. Yep, he played 7. That's analyst. Yep.
That's straight
Yep.
up analyst. That's probably the best bold prediction on here. The argument for another one that's also on the slide, but yeah, good job on that one, Matthew. And I fucking hate that the Packers just never deal with quarterback troubles. Apparently, must be nice. All right, moving on. I've got the Titans will have a top 10 defense, top 5 in rushing.
All right, so y'all are.
I mean, this is gonna be bad or shit. I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking it's you got your 18th in total defense.
Yeah.
Your rushing defense.
We fell off hard on the rushing defense.
13th.
Yeah. We were like number 1 rushing defense the year before, and we fell so hard. So I'm calling it shit.
Yeah, so you were 8 positions below both of what you predicted there. So yeah, I think that's shit. That's 16.
I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem with that. We're calling that shit. This is
Taking
fun. This is fun rating our shitty takes. It's
Yeah.
good. All right. This one I like a lot. Gavin, which we have to remember that is slightly wrong on the slide. Tyreek Hill will have over 1,700 yards. He didn't mean just the receiving. We talked about it in the actual episode. I think he just meant 1,700 overall yards because Tyreek Hill does run like jet sweeps and shit like that. So he does get rushing yards.
Doesn't matter. You got 1,799 receiving yards, so you got it with just receiving.
I think, especially because of that, I think it's analyst.
But apparently, he only had 15 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, analyst.
It's analyst. I mean, Tyreek Hill was awesome. I think he ended up being number 1 wide receiver for fantasy football this year in the end, just because, of course, Jamar Chase had a kind of a down year and Justin Jefferson was hurt half the year. So,
yep.
If it wasn't him, it was CeeDee Lamb.
Oh yeah, CeeDee Lamb was up there too. It was they were definitely 1 and 2 for sure. Okay, and then Tyler said that the Titans will have a top 15 defense. I mean, that's similar to mine.
Yeah, it's similar, but the fact that it was such an easy, basically just like, we're going to have the defense in the top half this year, basically, and he got it wrong. I think that's a shit take. He had a very easy.
I'm in agreement.
That's like if I had gotten the Cardinals wrong, that would have been a shit take because it was a very easy bold prediction that I got wrong. So
yeah, I agree. All right. Next up, is there?
That's all the bold predictions.
Oh, is that it? Is that the last slide? Okay.
You ready for everybody's who's the best, who's the worst, and all of that? What order of analysts we are in? Let me do some math real quick. Doodle-a-doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doodle-a-doo.
While he's doing the math, I'm going to take this moment to let you guys know the video that we've talked about in the last several podcasts where me and Jason and Tyler went to the NASCAR race to decide our fantasy football draft order is up. It's the video before this one. So go watch it. I think it turned out pretty well. We had a great time. And of course, good old fantasy football added a little extra stake to it. So it was fun.
Can't wait to do it again next year.
Maybe this time, maybe we'll get the headphones so that we can listen in on the drivers. Yeah. I want to do that really bad.
Definitely should do that.
All right. So you'll be surprised to know, and you'll be surprised who it is, that only one person ended up having the majority good takes, like on the good side of the takes. Everybody else is negative. And let everybody on 3 say who it was. 1, 2, 3.
Gavin.
Yeah, it was Gavin. Jason says no. It's not Matthew. Yeah, what a surprise. Gavin, the best analyst.
He's seriously.
You're a fucking nerd.
He needs. We need to get rid of him. He shouldn't be allowed to be on this podcast. I mean, he hasn't been on in a while, but just whatever reason, he dominates at everything.
He's been on more recently than Matthew has.
That's true. That is very true. Matthew, I think overall, yeah. So let me guess the standings. So it was Gavin, then Matthew, Then you?
You said Matthew was second?
Yeah, Matthew had a couple. He had a couple bad takes too, though.
Matthew was not second. Second place with -2 over. Oh, Gavin had 4 positive overall points. I did shit was -2, bad -1, neutral 0, good 1, endless 2.
Okay.
Gavin had 4 as his total. Second place with -2 overall, Tyler.
Ah.
I think because Tyler went with some. I mean, he might have done well, but
He did some safe picks too.
well, the Vikings were third in the NFC.
Yeah, he got analysts for that. Yeah.
And then just we only gave him we gave him a couple of shit stuff, but that basically him doing the Vikings, the NFC North saved him because the analyst. Next place we have with -3, 1 point behind Tyler, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Because Jason had the least amount of shit takes besides Gavin, who had not a single shit take. But you had the most amount of bad takes, Jason. And then next with -4 points, Matthew. He was the had some good takes at least, or had that one analyst level. And then we get to the bottom two boys, who were two of the boys who did not have the analyst level. In fifth place with -5 points, it's Ryan.
Yep.
And then in last place, well, once again, I'm going to read those last few numbers again. Tyler, -2. Jason, -3. Matthew, -4. Ryan, -5. With -8 points, Steven.
Let's go.
Steven didn't have a single good or analyst point.
I did not. I did not. But you can't say that I didn't go super bold with my picks.
Yeah,
you got to give me credit there. I wasn't afraid to just embarrass myself now, obviously.
You got 12 less points than Gavin.
Shit.
Oh my god.
So obviously, I should get hired by ESPN now.
Yeah.
Sadly, I probably have better guesses than a lot of those guys do. Weirdly enough. But yeah, that's it for the bold predictions. That was fun to review. We'll once again make bold predictions for this upcoming season, and we'll review it hopefully if the podcast doesn't die by then. We'll review it again next year. So, all right. So, are y'all good with all this? Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Do it.
Who do we want to start with? So we're going to go over our schedules for our 3 teams and kind of see how we feel about it and, get a rough idea how we think our teams will do. So it's up to y'all. Who do you want to start with?
We can do Titans first.
Okay. Looking at the Titans. So the biggest thing to break down, of course, we're going to have our division rivals, all of our, the Colts, the Texans, and the Jags. But then we're facing the entire NFC North this season, the entire AFC East this season, and then we had the team that tied with us in position in 4th for the AFC North, which, if you remember correctly, was the most competitive division this year, just about, and that's the Bengals. And the only reason they did that bad is because Joe Burrow was hurt. So starting off, let's look at the beginning. So week 1, we face the Bears. Week 2, we face the Jets. Week 3, we face the Packers. And week 4, we face the Dolphins. And then we have our bye. So, looking at this, it's interesting. The thing I'm most excited about in this schedule is that we get to be the team to face Caleb Williams first. So there will be a lot of people watching our game. Not for us. No one gives a shit about us. Media has made that very clear. But there's going to be a lot of people watching it just to see what Caleb Williams looks like. But that also means we have no idea what he's going to look like either. So how do you prepare for that game? So...
But the Bears are basically just a brand new team at this point.
They're brand new, but they've got a lot of good weapons. I agree with what Tyler has said, that their offensive line has some serious problems this year, and they didn't really address that in the draft. They only had like 4 picks, and of course they spent 2 of them on offensive players and then 1 on a punter, but no offensive line. I don't think. I don't remember who their 3rd pick was, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. The biggest thing that jumps out to me that I hate about my schedule is that we have a week 5 bye. which is why I kind of broke it down into like quarters. Obviously, you can't exactly do that because there's 17 games now for whatever reason. But we basically have our first quarter, and then we have our bye, and that means we have to play 13 games on the back end. I don't know what y'all want to say anything.
I mean, it is bad to have an early bye, but as far as like the teams that you're playing, I think you have a couple of games to start off with that are winnable, but then those second 2 games are going to be tough.
Yeah, fun fact, I was planning on going to the Packers game this year because Matthew, of course, is a Packers fan, and it's at Nissan Stadium. We wanted to go. At least me, Tyler, and Matthew are probably going to go. But I also had planned on going to an away game, which happened to be the Dolphins game, because my brother-in-law is a Dolphins fan. And it happens to be the next week on Monday Night Football. And it's our only primetime game. We get one primetime game this year, and it's Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. And it makes sense to do it. We played the Dolphins last year. We were 14-point underdogs, and we won that game. So the few games that I picked against the Titans last year in our like standard, predictions throughout the season of which games or who wins what, this is one of the games that I guessed wrong. So the Titans fucked me over in our just regular stats that we keep up with through the year. But it makes sense to have us play them on Monday Night Football because it's a revenge game for them. So I'm kind of excited about it. I just wish it wasn't so early, and I wish it wasn't right after a game I was going to go to.
Man, we have 4 primetime games.
Must be nice. Yeah.
We have 2.
Yeah. Must be nice. I would love at least one more, And if I'm gonna get the other good thing is another thing that I need to address that's good about the schedule. Somebody said is that we don't ever face a team coming off of a bye this entire season, and since we only have a Monday Night Football game, all of our games are on Sunday except for that Monday, and then we have our bye right after it. So we don't ever have a quick turnaround on games. So those reasons is why the schedule's okay. But then we got to look at this. Week 6 is our first game against a division rival. It takes a week 6. Then we have the Bills, the Lions. That's rough. Patriots, hopefully that's not too bad. Chargers, Vikings. And then in week 12, we finally get our second division rival game, our division game. Then we have the Commanders and then the Jags. And then the Bengals, like I said, of course, of the 4th place position team that we get is a good one. Then look at this shit. This is awful. Week 16, Week 17, Week 18, all division games. 3 out of the 6 games that are division games are in the last 3 weeks of the season. Why would you do that to us? That's awful.
It's pretty bad. I was comparing it to a Seahawks schedule, and we have also the same beginning of the year as you, where we don't play a division rival till week 6.
I'm switching to it now. Hold on. So let's just go ahead and look at Seahawks since you're comparing it anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Because I was noticing. Yeah, well, we'll get over it in a little bit. But yeah, our first time playing division is the 49ers in week 6, and then we don't play the Rams again. And then we play the Rams in week 9, and then we have week bye, then week 11, 12. And that's spread out. It's fine. It's just we don't play them again. First half of our season is also undivisioned.
It is nice. Y'all get to play the 49ers off of a bye, too. That'll help a lot.
We had to help. One time we had to play them off bye. One time we had to play them off of a short week, though, because we play them Thursday Night Football, week 6.
My biggest thing for the Titans is that we have a week 5 bye. After that, 13 games every week, or, for a straight 13 weeks of games. And the last 3 are division rival games where that's going to basically decide your division standing. Because all those other games will matter to a certain extent, but obviously half of your division is going to be decided then. So those are must-win games. You're going to be tired out of your mind by then.
Yeah.
So it's that's why I am personally concerned. I was feeling like, first off, when bets were going live, they had us at 5.5 wins for this season, for betting purposes. And I was thinking about reaching out to Gavin and asking him, because we were in a dumb state, asking him to make a bet on my behalf to bet the over on that, because it was also 5.5, the minus on some things, instead of just a clear even odds, the minus was on the less and the plus was on the higher end. So I was like, surely they can win 6 games. Now it eventually moved up to 6.5, but now I'm a little bit more worried because of the schedule. The schedule is so bad that we may be a better team this year and still have relatively a similar record. I hope we obviously are better than that, but the schedule is not doing us any favors. Anyway, so let's look more into depth onto yours, Ryan, since we sort of already briefly touched on it, the Seahawks. So what's your biggest things that you see on here that you want to address?
Week 1, me and old JC face off. Denver Broncos at Lumen Field, week 1. I think it's kind of cool. The first 2 weeks we're going up against our Super Bowl opponents. We put in the Broncos week 1 and the Patriots week 2.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad about that beginning.
Didn't we play each other in week 1 last year in Seattle?
2 years ago, because it was the Russell Wilson Seahawks game.
Oh, okay.
Last year we played, I don't remember who, but it wasn't the Broncos, I don't think. But yeah, it was 2 years ago, because it was like Russell Wilson, I think his first game as a Bronco was against the Seahawks.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
some reason I want to say y'all played the Rams the first week. Like, they did a few games where it was division rivals in the first week, and I think y'all might have been one of them.
That sounds about right. But yeah, we played. So this is, I guess, we played the Broncos first 2 years ago, which is kind of funny. So we're playing the Broncos again. We didn't play them last year. Playing them again this year. We're playing them again in week 1. So I guess it's just, the Broncos and Seahawks have, I guess, kind of it's about 10 years old now, but a somewhat of a rivalry. So
yeah, it's a playoff built rivalry. That's kind of what the Titans have with the Ravens, like I talked about earlier. So yeah, I mean, obviously the Patriots are a lot different than when y'all were in that situation against them, and then same with the Broncos. Probably
I would say both first 2 teams are not anything. I think I don't even know if I don't think there is a Seahawk now that Bobby Wagner is back away again. I don't think there is a Seahawk that's part of that 2013 Super Bowl team anymore on the roster.
Yeah, it's been too long. Most of them are retired or cut somewhere.
And
all right,
the coach is different now too.
Yeah.
So first 2. It's exciting games because they're just they mean stuff. Super Bowl whatever reschedule, but I'm not mad about it because not like sorry Jason, but the Broncos and Patriots are not like scary teams looking into this year so far yet. It could be proven wrong, but I'm not too scared looking at it right now. Now week 3 and 4, when it's Dolphins and Lions back to back, not looking forward to that. That's gonna suck. Thankfully, we play the Dolphins in Seattle. Unfortunately, it's still September and not like December, because that'd be a lot better, because it'd be rainy and cold and Tua would die.
But, it is Seattle. It may be raining anyway.
I'm hoping. Well, it's Miami. They're probably used. It's Florida. Florida's used to rain.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But yeah, and then let's see. We play the Giants. Not too worried about that. 49ers, Falcons going to that game more than likely. Thankfully, that was a good. It was a good non-holiday day, because we went to the Christmas Eve game last year, and I didn't want to go miss another Christmas Eve. My mom would be real mad. But the Seahawks play in Atlanta this year. So
yeah,
it's on October 20th.
Some of us will be there. So if you see us at Mercedes-Benz, let us know. Come say hi.
That's the same fucking week that I'm probably going to be going to New Orleans to see the Broncos play the Saints.
Oh, really? Nice.
Well, sounds like you might not be there. but
We're all going to the NFC South stadiums.
yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be fun. And then Bills and Rams in a row, hard. But then we have a bye week. Then we have 49ers right after their Cardinals. I'm not mad at the Cardinals sweep, if I'm being honest. That's nice, 3 in a row. Then Packers, which we have, always that game's gonna be crazy. It's just how it always is.
Oh
And
yeah.
Vikings, which I don't know how the Vikings will be right now. I don't know how to predict what the Vikings are gonna
I
do
have
this year.
no idea what the Vikings are going to look like this year. We play them too, obviously later in the season, but it's I don't know.
I got no clue if I'm scared of them or if I'll obviously it's week 16, so it's the very end of the season. So I guess by that point we'll know what we're going into at that point. And then the Bears, which also are kind of like they could be amazing. They could be the Bears as usual, and I guess we'll find out by that point. So I'm honestly glad we're like the opposite of the Titans who playing the Bears first. I'm glad we're like the second to last week playing the Bears, so we're gonna know the type of team the Bears will be going into it.
You'll have a lot of tape on that kid. You will by that point. So
Yep. And then we end with the Rams, so we'll lose the last game of the season.
they're your kryptonite. They always are.
Yeah. Oh, but then one thing that's kind of fun. Technically, if you include preseason games, the Seahawks play every single other podcast team.
Yeah.
We play the Titans in the preseason, but yeah, we play Broncos week 1, then Dolphins week 3, then Packers week 15.
Are y'all gonna go to the preseason game?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'd rather save my money.
Is it at Nissan or is it in?
I think it's at Nissan. Let me go back up.
Yeah, it's at Nissan.
Preseason games are so cheap. You can probably get in for like $5.
We saw the Titans.
It's
we
not,
saw the
it's
Seahawks
not
at the
cheap.
Titans, the actual game last year in Nissan. So.
Yeah, it's not as cheap as you would think, and I mean, you get what you want to see on TV with those. See new players, what they look like. Going for the atmosphere. I've been to a preseason game and it was okay, but I would much rather just wait and make the trip up there for an actual game. So,
yep.
All right. Well, you got anything else to add on this one, Ryan?
Not really. I'm not mad. I feel like our schedule once again is kind of similar to the last season, except we don't have that super long stretch of awful teams that we did last year. It's kind of like pairs of awful teams throughout our season. So hopefully that I don't see any long losing streaks in this season, in this schedule, which is all that I can ask for.
Yeah, I think I'm the most jealous about the Week 10 bye. Having a Week 10 bye is going to be really nice, especially because it's right before you face the 49ers. Gives you a little extra time to prep for that.
In San Francisco, too. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at the Broncos, Jason. So break it down for us.
Well, obviously, if we just went over that, we play the Seahawks in week 1 in Seattle, but we don't have Russell Wilson this time. And then we do play Russell Wilson in week 2 against the Steelers.
You can't escape Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson's return to Denver in week 2. I hope we somehow crush them. I'm scared we're going to wind up getting fucked in that game.
That'd be hilarious if Russell Wilson brought the Steelers to a Super Bowl this year.
It's not going to happen.
I'm sorry. I would buy Russell Wilson Steelers jersey if that happened.
I will say,
like y'all talk about Derrick Henry and Von Miller. I'd buy a Russell Wilson Steelers jersey if he brought them to the Super Bowl.
I get that. And here's the thing. This is what's weird is if the Steelers win this game against the Broncos, it'll be just like when the Jets beat the Broncos this last year, that like the whole world was making fun of the Broncos for it with the whole Hackett situation, which that one was ridiculous because it wasn't really him at all. He was just the OC or whatever, and I think it was mostly a defensive game, but they still gave him the game ball, give him a fucking participation trophy or some shit. But yeah, that's a game you need to look out for, Jason. That is, if he ends up playing, maybe it'll be Justin Fields. Who's going to win that starting role because they're paying
going Russell Wilson for the views.
I guess they probably should, but I mean that's the thing is they're paying him next to nothing. So, and they're at least paying Justin Fields some money. But all right,
Yeah. And then week 3 at the Buccaneers, we're probably going to lose that game. Let's be honest. At the Jets, depending on what they look like, I feel okay about that game.
Who do you think gets injured in this game, Jason?
Garrett
That
will.
MetLife. So Garrett Wilson get injured. Oh, you said the Jets player, not a Broncos player.
Yeah, why would I say a Broncos player?
Well, because they're going to MetLife, so somebody's going to tear their ACL here.
I
No.
like the Garrett Wilson prediction because it's like, hey, another Wilson. It keeps following the Broncos around.
Yep.
This is also Zach Wilson's return to New York.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Do you think y'all start him for the views, or do you still keep him on the bench? I hope you keep him on the bench.
And then we've got I think this is our first division game in week 5.
Yeah.
Against the Raiders. I'm scared of the Raiders, if I'm being honest, minus the quarterback. I'm not scared of the quarterback, but everything else I'm scared about.
Hope you like dealing with 2 tight end type sets because they're gonna obliterate the Michael Mayer, whatever his name is, and Brock Bowers combination because for some reason they have 2 really big stud tight ends.
Yeah. Then we play the Chargers. I feel okay about the Chargers. And then week 7, Thursday Night Football, one of our 2 primetime games. We play New Orleans. I'm going to be trying because it's the closest game this year to where we live. I'm going to also try and make it out to Denver for a game. We'll see if that happens or not. It's Sean Payton's return to New Orleans as head coach.
Man,
there's a lot of stuff going on with the Broncos this year.
A lot of storylines. I didn't realize this until you broke it down. I didn't even think about all that.
Go back to week 1 against the Seahawks. Bo Nix and Troy Franklin both played up there in Oregon where they had a rivalry against Washington. So, where are we? Week 8. The Panthers. Yep. It's the Panthers. I'm not scared of the Panthers even this year.
I don't think they did enough in the offseason to make me. They may be a little better, but I still don't think the Panthers will be that good.
I like that you go Panthers at a Mile High, and then you go to the Ravens and the Chiefs the next 2 weeks.
Yep. If you notice with our schedule, you still haven't seen our bye, and we don't have back-to-back home games at all this season except for one time.
Yeah.
So we'll never have that like home field advantage win streak type of thing going where we have like 3 games in a row at home. And we have these stretches of road games that are going to be hard, like the Ravens and the Chiefs. And then when the Falcons come to Denver, I think we're going to lose that game. And then back on the road against the Raiders. Well, I mean, it's a divisional game. There's no telling who wins that. And then we play the Browns in week 13 in Denver. And then finally, we have our bye week in week 14. The only way that this is a good bye week is if we're vying for a wild card spot come this late in the season so we can rest to try and win the last 3 games to make it to the playoffs.
It is nice that it's after a Monday night game, so y'all have, instead of a short week, you have the bye week. So
yeah, I forgot this was Monday Night Football.
What I'm realizing is this is actually very similar to the Titans, just on the other way, because you had 13 games in a row and then you're bye, and then similar to us with the Dolphins and y'all with the Browns coming off of a Monday Night Football game, then you go into your bye. So that's actually interesting. But yeah, that's 13 games in a row. That's a big stretch too. It's still just a little long, but
yeah. And then the last few games of the season, we played the Colts, the Chargers again, then the Bengals. The Colts and the Bengals, I see potential losses there, of course. And then we end the season against the Chiefs, division game. I think that they should have made it the Chiefs and the Raiders in the final week because those are the two most likely to be fighting for the division title. But I don't make the schedule, obviously.
I was kind of surprised that they had the Titans facing the Texans in Week 18 because I thought they would have had the Texans facing someone else, one of the other ones that they think has a better chance of winning the division. So I was surprised by that too.
I know they're doing it anyway because I'm assuming every last game of the season is divisional, right? That's always how it is.
They usually try to make it, but then you still don't know which teams are going to be fighting for 1 and 2, really.
Well, right, but I mean, like same for our division. We're battling the Rams last week. That means the 49ers, the clear favorites, are playing the Cardinals, the clear least favorites in our division.
That's true. That's true. They should have probably made it 49ers Rams based on what you would think. So, all right. Well, that's all of it. So who do y'all think has the 1, 2, 3, 1 being the worst, 3 being the best, I guess, however you want to do it. Or let's do it the opposite. 1 is best, 3 is worst. For our 3 teams, what do y'all think?
I'll go first. Third place with the worst schedule. I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks because it's just hard. The teams they play are good. And then I'm going to go 2 to the Broncos.
Come on.
And 1 to the Titans.
You think I have the best schedule?
Yeah.
Why? I think the Seahawks have the best schedule. Not by much, but just because of the bye being in the middle and then having that Cardinals-Jets-Cardinals combination is good, assuming the Jets aren't as good as we think they're going to be. But I would argue that I think the Titans and Broncos are pretty close. I'll go ahead and because of having the Chiefs in your fucking division, I'll give it to you. I'll say you have the worst. And then I'll give me 2, but I still think the Seahawks has the best one out of the 3 of us.
Look up the strength of schedule for this year.
I mean, sure. If you base it off of like the stats that they've come up with before the season, I guess. But does that factor in bye weeks and things like that?
It's not just stats from last season. It's just the record of the teams that you play combined.
Yeah.
Strength of schedule.
I also think the Seahawks have the easiest schedule. Because I went through each schedule just now, and out of like the non-divisional games, the Seahawks have like I feel like the least big guys who aren't in our division. We play the Lions and the Dolphins and the Packers, and that's really it. That's like a big scary team. And then like the Broncos play like the Patriots, the Ravens, the Ravens and the Buccaneers and the Steelers. These are all playoff winning teams. And then the Bengals, which should are good, better than they actually were last year. I do think division-wise, Seahawks have the hardest division still out of the 3 of us.
I feel that your division is so much better than ours that it makes it overall harder.
If we didn't have the Cardinals, Cardinals are like I think worse than any of the people in your division.
Yeah, I would think so. But you got the Rams and the 49ers, which powerhouses at this point.
The hardest schedule, according to strength of schedule, out of ours. Well, none of us are in the top half. We all have pretty easy schedules, apparently. Hardest schedules, the Broncos at 20th for strength of schedule. Okay. Y'all are at 143, 146 for your opponents 2023. And then the Titans at 21st, tied for 21st with 142, 147. And the Seahawks tied for 24th, 141, 148. So strength of schedule-wise, we're all like Seahawks lowest, 141, 148. Broncos, 143, 146. There's literally a 2-game, like it's Broncos opponents, 143 wins. Titans opponents, 142 wins. Seahawks opponents, 141 wins.
Yeah.
So strength of schedule, they're all pretty similar.
I get that.
Based off of that, I would say Seahawks still the best because we have the best bye schedule.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that is based on like the records of last year. Teams are a lot different this year. It doesn't really consider that. I understand they use strength of schedule for like picking draft orders and shit like that. I get that. But like it doesn't, for at least what I'm looking at, it doesn't consider what teams are going to look like this year compared to last year. Like, for example, we faced the Bengals. That's one of our teams. I know y'all do too, but it happened to be the fourth place position team that we get is the Bengals when that whole division was a powerhouse, and they only did bad because Burrow got hurt. And then, again, my biggest thing is the 3 division rivals in the last 3 weeks after we're going 10 weeks in a row and having no breaks. We're going to be fucking tired by the end of that, and those games are going to matter at the end. So that's why I fucking hate it. I hate that bit so much. But
this is really off subject. I got distracted. Steven, watching your camera.
okay.
Your Titan behind you looks like your hair is standing straight up.
My what?
The Titans logo behind you.
Oh, because it's like, oh, okay, I got you.
That's a stretch there, buddy boy.
Sure.
It's not in the same condition as I am.
Yeah. Well, regardless, I know we're all a little bit biased on this anyway, but I still think I was very worried with the way the schedule came out. I'm worried about it. I don't think any of ours are actually that great, but then again, I don't know what a truly good schedule would look like. I mean, I wonder what who's got the best schedule according to strength of schedule.
It's tied for the Falcons and the Saints.
In the NFC South, what a fucking surprise, because they have the Panthers in their division.
Well, the Panthers are tied for 29th. The NFC South just sucks ass. Buccaneers, tied for 27th. It's just they're the worst division, and so they have the best strength schedule because of that. Because they play each other a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're all shit.
If the Falcons don't win the division, I consider it a bit of a fail for them, because, I mean, I think the Buccaneers will put up a good fight with them, and I really believe it'll be either the Falcons or the Buccaneers. But with how much the Falcons did and all these crazy moves they made in the offseason, if they don't win the division, it's a failure on their part, because they did all this stuff trying to win now. But we'll see.
Yep.
All right. Like what? You broke up.
Like drafting Michael Penix.
Yeah, we'll never understand that, man. The amount of YouTube videos I saw on people being like, why would they do this? I wonder if the GMs see all that.
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Well, ready to call it a podcast?
I think so. Ryan, you want to take us out, buddy?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and watching / listening to the Always Out of Market NFL podcast, hosted by your 3 flummoxes. Oh, by the way, I never introduced us. I'm Ryan. That's Jason. That's Steven. If you didn't know that already. But yeah, we're just a couple of crazy guys, and it would help if you liked and commented and subscribed and just, gave us some love. We're all about peace and love here in the ALABAMEA. I didn't spell that right.
Bamia.
In that news, everybody hands in.
In that news?
We don't know how to spell down here. Podcast on 3. 1, 2, 3. Podcast.
I guess.